Pascal Siakam is not an Atlanta Hawk. He's not a Sacramento King, and he's certainly not a Golden State Warrior. Pascal Siakam is officially an Indiana Pacer. The Pacers traded 3 first-round picks, Jordan Noah, Bruce Brown. They got a third team involved with the Pelicans to send Kira Lewis to the Raptors as well. A second-round pick is coming to Indiana for doing that. And they also get Pascal Siakam. The trade market on Pascal Siakam was not as high as people thought it would be. Teams are scared that he might not re-sign. Maybe he got verbal confirmation from the Pacers that he would re-sign. He told Dallas he would, but we didn't see any reports about him with the Pacers. We're not sure, but I'm just gonna go with this assuming that Pascal's gonna re-sign. Even if he doesn't, I think this is a terrific move from the Pacers. You acknowledge what your young star Tyrese Halliburton can do, and you're getting a star talent that can actually commit on the defensive end and give you an identity that you did not have before the trade. So to me, kudos to the Pacers. We'll get into the specifics with them next, but I really think the place to start with this trade has to be the Toronto Raptors. If you remember the podcast I did with Iman earlier this offseason discussing what the Raptors 2023 season would be, we both came together and said that the goal had to be Scottie Barnes. Scottie Barnes being the top 5 pick for the Raptors, being the rookie of the year for the Toronto Raptors, is a guy that a lot of people were split on in terms of how good he could be, especially after his sophomore season. But this season, he's showing more and more why he should have been drafted top 5. They developed his skills to a whole other level. His playmaking, his development as a jump shooter, all of these things are things that you just don't see players take leaps in, and he's done that. And normally for a player that's going to be very, very great, you can see it for a season or at least half of a season within his first 3 years in the NBA, and Scottie Barnes has become that. So to me, Pascal Siakam getting traded should not be something that's extremely surprising. Siakam was coming into a year where after this year is done, he will essentially be a free agent. And for him, it didn't make sense to remain with a Raptors team that probably did not want to pay you. And the Raptors routinely, even reports today came out saying that the Raptors told Siakam that they would not give him a supermax contract, even if he was eligible. He wasn't even eligible for it. So once you see framework like that being leaked out, it's pretty clear that the writing is on the wall. But even with the construction of the team, Pascal is way older than Scottie Barnes. He's on a roster that realistically isn't really a competitive roster in the Eastern Conference. And we came into the season not knowing what Raptors basketball would look like or would be. So once they traded OG Anunoby, the writing was on the wall that Pascal was next. And we're here, and he's been traded. I think now we have to really evaluate what they fully got, which now would be those 3 first-round picks from the Indiana Pacers, which would be 224 first-round picks and a 2026 first-round pick. Kira Lewis. You also got the return from the OG trade as well, which would be Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett. So when you're looking at this from this perspective, I think the Raptors now have a vision that they're fully brought in on committing to. Their coach Darko has been great in terms of development and saying the right thing for this team. So now for Raptors fans, at least you now have quality in terms of knowing exactly what vision you're going in. Now, is the return for Siakam great? No, I don't believe it is. I think the point in doing it this way is to make up for the first round picks you were unable to secure in the Knicks trade. But even then, I said this as well for the Knicks trade. When it comes down to even that trade, you're talking about getting RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley, who are 2 young players that you can develop and make better than what they were, which could give you the value of some picks. So I get it. And now the draft picks that people were clamoring for, you now get with the Pacers. But, and this takes us to the Pacers side of things, there's a chance that those picks might not have much value if Indiana is a very good basketball team over the next 3 to 4 years. So let's get to them. The Indiana Pacers have made a move that most small market teams are not able to make. They traded for a star player who was under contract. They gave up assets to get him, and they're now giving their young franchise player, Tyrese Halliburton, a guy in Pascal Siakam that gives them a different look. Coming into the season again, I had another podcast with Alex Golden, great Indiana Pacers reporter. He has some great stuff that he says on his podcast about the Pacers. Both of their links will be in the description below. But Alex literally talked about the Pacers and their blueprint, like building around Halliburton, seeing what they can get from their players. And the fact that they were able to keep Nembhard, Nesmith, and a bunch of other players that have contributed to the greatness of the Pacers this season, adding Pascal Siakam to the team is tremendous, because Pascal Siakam gives them the one thing that they did not have, and that's a player that has the athleticism and has the ability to really impact the game on the other end with a stiff commitment to the defensive end. You can say Miles Turner, but I believe Pascal Siakam is a better defender than Miles Turner when he's super engaged. And even collectively, the point is you now have more than one guy who can have that commitment at a star level to that other end. And for Tyrese Halliburton, all year long, he's been making his teammates better. So just imagine a Siakam in a system with enhanced touches to be able to support Tyrese down the stretch, where it's not just Tyrese being the only creator or guy that can go get a bucket or go put pressure on the rim to get to the free throw line. Siakam can do all those things. So for Indiana, I absolutely love the moves that they've made here. And for smaller market teams, mostly this is how you're going to have to get better. You're not going to be a team that people want to go to in the summertime or want to think about becoming free agents to go to. Or you might not even be a team that players demand to go to when they're under contract. So for you to make a move like this to where, yes, you are giving up 3 first-round picks. Both of them are coming from the 2024 pick draft this year, which, to be honest, a lot of people have said that this draft is a weaker draft overall. Yes, you are trading a 2026 as well. But at the end of the day, moves like these are the moves that the stars remember. For Tyrese Halliburton that's on this team, 3 years from now, he's going to remember the Pacers believed in me. They traded for me. They built around me. They traded Siakam for me, who was a star caliber player. Even if Siakam leaves or whatever, the fact that they made the move to try to make the roster as good as it could be could potentially shore up Halliburton beyond the extension that he just signed. And I think teams need to realize, if you want to win, if you want to be competitive, you have to have star talent. We're in the most talented era of the NBA today. And while the Pacers have been good this year, they're currently the 6th seed and they've been one of the most high-powered offenses in the NBA. You needed another piece that could take pressure off of Tyrese Halliburton, give them a different look when Tyrese is not on the floor, and someone that could commit to the defensive end. And if there's one thing that I know of Pascal Siakam, is that he 100% fits that profile and that form for the Pacers. We're talking about a guy that can play small ball 5 at times, who can commit to the rebounding, who can occasionally shoot. I don't think teams are going to consistently respect him from the 3, but I think for the Pacers, it just makes a ton of sense considering what their roster is. And again, what they gave up to get him. They didn't give up some budding star talent player for Pascal Siakam, at least on paper. I could be wrong 4 to 5 years from now, of course, but they gave up pretty good assets. Bruce Brown, a guy that was overpaid, but was a phenomenal piece for the Denver Nuggets. I think trading that contract for Pascal is the best return you could have asked of Bruce Brown, period. So to me, the Pacers just made an excellent decision, and I love what they did. We got to see how this ends, obviously, over the next 2 to 3 years, but I love seeing moves from teams that aren't really in contender status or just good teams trying to improve. So to me, I think the Raptors did a great job in this deal as well, just having a commitment to the team that they're going to have. And I think for the Pacers, you now have a much more competitive product, and now the vision is, okay, we have Tyrese. Let's try to re-sign Pascal, and let's also get a continuity roster of guys that can space the floor, try to get up and down, still keep that quick identity, but with guys that can contribute to the defensive end even more. So I'm definitely going to be watching way more Pacers games. I'm very excited to see how this pans out for them, but what a move. And there's going to be more to come now too, because now that Siakam is officially out, there's no more talks about him. A lot of teams are going to make their pivot moves for potentially a Zach LaVine or some other players that we might not know are available right now. So this trade deadline could get even more explosive from this point on moving forward. There's a lot of desperate teams. I'm a Warriors fan. They're a team that is looking to make a move in some capacity. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, for those of you who've made it to the end of this video, I want to say shout out to you. As you know, I haven't been back on the channel in about a week, and that is because I was involved in a car accident. I've just been resting up over these past couple of days, watching basketball and just taking the time to mentally get right. And physically, I'm still not where I want to be, but day by day process. And this is a huge trade. I wanted to get that out there, but we're going to have more consistent content coming up on the channel. I don't want to promise a concrete day for things. My January has been kind of thrown off by this, obviously. So happy new year for me, but we're working, man. And this is the big trade. I will be watching again, as I said earlier, a lot more Pacers and Raptors games. I think their new eras and resets that they're making for their teams are very interesting. So make sure to watch basketball. Appreciate your support for me, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a good one. And remember, appreciate the hoops while we got it. Peace out, people.